So in today's video, I'm going to share with you one of my favorite short game drills, which can really help with so many different aspects of those shots around the green. So if you really want to lower your scores and lower your handicap, then we kind of know that short game should really be part of our focus, because we know we can save a lot of shots around the greens by chipping the ball a bit closer, turning 4 shots into 3 shots, and ultimately turning 3 shots into 2 shots. And we're going to cover a little bit on that today, and I'm going to give you and share with you one of my favorite drills for the short game, and it just works on so many different things, and it can really get you striking those shots better, flighting them better, and it can also help a little bit on feel as well. So many of the people many of the golfers that I see who struggle with the short game will very often have not enough control of the golf club, and they very often don't have the body and the arms and the club working in sync. They tend to have the arms doing things that we don't really want them to do, both backswing and downswing, and it makes it very difficult to do anything good. It makes it difficult to control the loft, it makes it difficult to control the strike, and so we get directional issues, we get trajectory issues, and because of those we generally get distance issues as well. And if we struggle with many of those things, then we're not going to get the ball close, and we're putting too much pressure on our putting. So what we would tend to see from the best players is that the club, the arms and the body look very, very connected through their shots. It looks as if it's one unit that they're using, and they tend to be able to control those things that we've just discussed much better. This drill is difficult, trust me. But if you try this and you find it difficult, use that as an indication that this is something you should be working on, because if you can do this drill perfectly, then it kind of suggests that you don't need to work on it. So the drill is very simply a one-armed pitch motion. So I'm going to take my setup, I'm going to take my lead hand off, and I'm going to place it across my chest and my bicep, as you can see that there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit some very, very short shots. Now obviously I've got my net here, but you could do this on a drive range or on a chipping green, and we're looking to hit these balls potentially a range of distances, but to start with some maybe 15 yards. So I'm going to take a starting position here, and I'm just going to go back and just go through. And we obviously don't know how far it went, but that would have gone around about 15 yards. Now I would say that I have a pretty high amount of confidence that I'm going to hit that shot pretty well in terms of the strike and the trajectory and where it lands. It certainly wouldn't be as good as if I've got both hands on, but I'm pretty confident. What you will hopefully have noticed there will be that my hand stays joined between my chest and my bicep. So as I go back, you can see that logo there. As I go back, it's connected. As I go through, it stays connected. Very, very common. When I give this drill to a golfer who struggles, we see lots of things like this. Now hopefully you saw quite a big difference there. In that little example, we tended to see the arm doing most of the work independent of the body. Now very often these golfers will have some body movement, but even though that body movement is there, it's not joined up, it's not synced up, it's not connected to the arms. So just look out for that, because that would be what I tend to see from the golfers who really struggle. And as soon as the arm starts to work away from the chest, it's kind of in space on its own, very, very difficult to get that club back to the ball consistently. So your goal is to keep this lead hand connected to the bicep and the chest, and as you go back and through, you should maintain that relationship. And you can see that because that relationship was maintained, I had to make a really nice pivot through the ball. I had to get my body facing the target. I had to get my weight on the lead side. My trail arm is still bent as it was at the start, and the club face is still in the same relationship to me as it was at address. So if we look at that again, a little bit of bend in the arm connected to the body. I rotate back. Same relationship. I might well have a little bit of wrist set, I might have a little bit of forearm rotation, but this is the key area here, this connection that we established at the start. And then as I rotate back, I might uncock those wrists, I might let that club release a little bit, but this area here is the key thing, the bit that we're working on, that stays connected. If that stays connected, I have to use my body rotation to get myself back through the golf ball. If you're working on this initially, Don't give yourself a target, don't give yourself a flag. Initially just work on strike. Can you deliver the golf club to the ball and strike the ball fairly consistently? I would say that particular shot there, I'd give that an 8 out of 10 in terms of strike. The one before was maybe a 7. The first one I hit was a really good one, it was 8 or 9. If you can start to consistently get those strikes up in that area, and you're looking to kind of almost mark every shot you hit out of 10, then you can start to potentially looking at controlling the distance and giving yourself a target. But I'd almost guarantee that the best short game players could chip and pitch almost as well one-handed as they could two-handed, because we're using the body to control this motion. And when we start to use the body to control this motion, we start to have a lot more consistency. Now, that doesn't mean to say that there's no wrist action, no forearm action, pitching motion. I generally like to see a little bit of movement, a little bit of release, but I don't like to see that arm disconnecting from the body too much. That's the key message here. So if I try and hit a slightly different shot, you will see a lot more release in this shot, but the relationship stayed the same. That would have been a slightly higher flight because of the way I released the club, but the relationship stayed the same, and that is what I'm looking to do in this little exercise. It's a fantastic chipping drill, pitching drill to do if you really struggle. It is difficult. Don't get disheartened if you start off and you can't strike it. Like I said at the start, that just gives you that information. This is what you should be working on, because if you can work on this and practice it, you put that second hand on and it's going to feel like the easiest shot ever. You're going to chip them much closer, pitch them much closer, tap it in for your par, walk off, and as I say, it's a great way to tidy up your scorecard. So the one arm chipping, pitching drill is a great one for many golfers. Even if you're not struggling with a short game, it's worth a try. Thanks for watching. Usual stuff is down below, comments box down there, like button down there, and also subscribe to the channel if you're not already. It is absolutely free. Thanks for watching.